#Real Race Talk. It's the Revved Up Sports Show talking local, regional, and national action. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Hello, friends. We are off and running. It is #Real Race Talk. We are live once again. It is the Revved Up Livecast. Thank you all for diving in, and those that will dive in and catch it on the replays and so forth. #Real Race Talk, the original, the award-winning show, like Bobby says, that started it all. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Bobby down south. I'm Rodney up north. We got a loaded show for you, Bobby. How we doing today, my man?
Well, we dodged more weather today down south. So, I mean, it's supposed to rain all day. It rained for about an hour and a half right during lunch. So I couldn't barbecue leftovers during lunch. So I had to settle for, just a plain Jane little, cold stove hot dog versus trying to get it all nice and barbecued and charred up. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, we got lucky and dodged some of the hail and rain and stuff last week too. So I'll take both instances of being on the positive side of the weather scope there.
Well, and I think if you're a race fan, depending where you went this weekend, I mean, because I thought maybe in Houston, and I was kind of checking you guys out at Texana, and I was talking to Owen there, and I thought that both of us may get washed out at one point, but got all that done. And so I think the most important thing is that all of the racing got done, and that's cool because who cares about hail and all that stuff? It's all about getting the racing in, and here we go, man. This is just a loaded May as we dive in, and it doesn't stop. I mean, we're about to get into it once again, and I think we're going to have a lot of really cool things coming up the next couple of weekends.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is when the schedule gets down and dirty, so to speak, right? Especially at the local dirt tracks, when you got series hot and heavy with rivalries already developed through the course of the season up until this point. Then you've got old rivalries renewed, just with people that have magnets on their cars and can't stay away from each other when they get near each other. So this is always a fun point in the season for me. And sometimes you see it as a change of the guard too, because you'll have some guys, like especially down at Texana, some of our top guys in the points were missing on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so, that shook up the points pretty good when your top three in points, for whatever miscellaneous reasons, decide that they can't make it or are unable to make it, and your fourth place guy in the points wins, shakes up the points. The only problem is now my fourth place guy in points says he's not going to make all the races either. So put it in a barrel and go from there.
Yeah, we were having that talk. Actually, I was conducting a discussion. And by the way, we got a great show. Speaking of family feuds and all these other things, Dalton Faulkner is going to jump on here in just a little bit, and we'll talk to him about the Battle of Boot Hill. And then coming up right around the top of the hour, we're going to dive in and talk some TIDA and beyond with Bobby Blake. I mean, Bobby Blake has been one of these guys that comments to us quite a bit, and got him on. I mean, Bobby's going to check in, and then Logan Dinsmore, who is dominating stems at this point, which will head to the race ranch. We're going to talk to him. But, Bobby, and this is more directed to, and I know that Dalton's coming, so we might have to resume this. But, guys and people that want to race all the time, that have been talking about wanting to race all the time, it really seems like to me are finding excuses not to go. I was talking to people this weekend. It's like, oh, it's Mother's Day. Well, shit, that never bothered you before. You about that before. It was never a big deal. You brought your mom, you brought your wife, whatever. It's like I'm leaning on you asphalt people when I'm having this discussion. 4 trucks.
8 mods.
And then you wreck 3 in practice. We want to race a lot. We give you 11 dates. You got a back-to-back. And nobody's showing up either date. Anyway, we'll pick that up. But I'm just glad that we're in a position where we're getting to race. And it just seems like some of the car counts are dwindling. And I got to tell you, dude, it really pisses me off. I get disillusioned, and people have to walk me off the ledge because it's just – and this is across the country. On pavement, I see Pensacola, I see Mobile, where these classes are struggling, where everybody wants to race. You got dates. What's holding you back?
Yeah, especially with Mobile, now that they've got that new regime in there. Everybody stood up and was praising the new regime there for a while. And Eddie's doing a damn good job down there, keeping the place open, keeping the place alive. giving people a place to race. And, he has a really interesting schedule set up, even added the crown stock class, but yet, it's like racers are going to be their own worst enemies. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, just it's one of those things where it's just like it always was before. What is it? Don't kick a good horse in the mouth or whatever, so whatever that saying is. And
Yeah.
boom, because the horse would be gone after a while.
Well, I can tell you one thing in Houston: the legacies do not struggle. And thank you, Delilah, for bringing yours out. I mean, legacies. Here's the whole thing: it's all these folks in Houston that want to race, and the legacies and the legends. We didn't even have or there wasn't even a legends class there, and hell, they had 13.
Mhm.
All these other folks that wanted to race, it's like, I mean, where you at? I mean, I don't get it. And it's around the country, and here we are. I mean, we're getting folks from around the country checking in. Wonder how that happened. But rain ruled out yet. Yeah, I get that. But I mean, a lot of these racetracks, they go out of their way. And I can tell you, working on the promotion side, you go out of your way to say, okay, everything is going to be good. And I think that these tracks are very diligent nowadays to go ahead and say, okay, you know what, we're going to get rained out. So let's go ahead and be as cognizant to people trying to get there as we can. And I don't know, man, I'm getting tired of excuses because it's getting old, man. It's getting old.
I mean, there was an opportunity this weekend down in Texana to actually, we had not even two rainstorms, just pesky showers. Right, it was harder than a mist, but it wasn't quite a super duper like rain, right? But that was right after they just had a decent shower before then that we had already tried to rework the track in, and then you get another sprinkle heavy mist shower that you were just on a razor's edge of like, do you cancel? It's like so close to being almost too wet to race, right? Especially you hear that, it's odd to hear that at a dirt track, but I mean, the decision was made to just hold out, give it that extra 5%, and turned out to be some pretty good racing. The spectator races, what I saw from Houston, turned out really good. I don't know about the rest of the racing.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, what we have figured out, or I mean, what we are finding out in Houston is that, and this is no secret, that it's all about presentation. And while the crowd lacked on the last 2 weekends, the crowd has lacked, and I'm more honed in on not so much about the crowd, because the crowd, I mean, I know that people have jobs, I know that money's hard to find, and all of these different things. And it's the same thing where I lean into the race car drivers, the race teams, to where I know that they have things to do. But the whole thing is they are dead set on wanting to go race, and then excuse after excuse. I mean, all the time. It never fails. And people have called me out. It's like, well, you got a race car. Why don't you race? I never fucking said I was going to race. I do this. This is my place right now. I mean, you guys and ladies are the ones that say you want to race, not me. I ain't a racer right now.
Well, I mean, I think that's the part of it, right? It's the reason that I go to Houston. There's not a lot for me to do down there, but yet for what I do, it's important. But I can't tell people on this show to get your ass to Houston.
Yep.
And not go myself, to be a hypocrite. Now, this weekend I was not there because I needed to be down in Texana. So there was a difference there. I was needed at my normal racetrack, not so much in Houston. So, that explains my absence down at the Palace of Power this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one place that did not struggle, and it was Boot Hill. I mean, there were plenty of cars at Boot Hill. Big old $5,000 win race, one of those crown jewels. And guess who won that race? Our man joining us here on the Revved Up Sports Show when it comes to factory stocks. He is one of the best. Mr. Dalton Faulkner, Cut and Shoot, Texas. Dalton, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are y'all tonight?
Man, we're doing well. Pardon the bitch rant that we were doing right here, but just kind of one of those things where it comes down to that. So let's talk about you this weekend, man. That was one hell of a race. You sat, you waited, you got around all of that. Walk us through all of that cool stuff.
Man, wait, is that noise on my side?
I'm not sure where that is.
It might be an echo.
Give me one moment.
There we go, right there. Look at that.
Live radio right here.
That is how we do it, right?
That might have fixed it.
That fixed it, my man.
There we go.
So that race for you, you sat and you kind of waited right there, and it's the best of the best in that race at Boot Hill. You make the pass. Take us through it, man.
Man, it was a good start from off the go. The green flag dropped. Man, we had a good car. The first caution come out. We kind of stumbled on the restart. Man, we had some good green flag laps though. I was counting on the race to be 50 laps actually, and it was only 40 laps. It was my fault for not paying attention, but I caught on after the lady talked to us so long over the radio. But man, we had some good laps, good racing next side by side with Justin, Dakota, and the track was just phenomenal. Really, it was at the bottom, center, top. We had a real good track to race on. Patience played off. We ended up taking the lead. I think it was about 11 laps to go. I didn't even know what happened at the end of the race. It was I was paying attention to my own lane out front and never seen Justin again, never seen nobody pull up underneath me. So we pulled it off.
Absolutely. Also, the question I have for you is, you've been on the show a couple of times. We've talked about how you race at different spots and all of that. When you come to a racetrack, a lot of people look and say, oh, hell, Dalton's here. We're going to fight for second. Right. So does that add any extra pressure to you when you show up at a racetrack, or is it just business normal? You're just zoned in on your car, on that 27 car, and what you can do to make it faster. Man,
that's a good feeling. You know, people worrying about me showing up, but I don't look at it like that. We have our own race to race. I've mentioned it a lot over the weekend. Luck plays a lot in this. With the luck, if you don't have good luck, you don't have a good success for the night. So luck plays a lot in it. There's always good competitors. Track is always different in dirt track racing. Anything can happen. Any caution can change anything at any finishing position. So, man, it's we show up, focus on ourselves, and want to win every time we show up.
Dalton, how hard is that? I mean, because when we talk about factory stocks, I mean, especially you guys here, Texas, Louisiana, into Mississippi and all that, there are really, you know, like you talk about, so many good drivers and teams that come out. To just focus in on that, to not pay attention to, you know, Whitehead's here, Neil Kemp is here, all these different guys, man. I think you do a really good job of just honing into what you're there to do.
Yeah, we focus a lot on ourselves. I mean, anywhere we show up, all the way from down south. I mean, you got Jared Maupin, Johnny Torres down there. You got, I mean, there's multiple guys. I can't name them all. I mean, here at my local track, you've got top competitors, Craig Persley, Donald Kane. I mean, they get out front, they're going to be tough to pass either way. And especially go up to Louisiana. I mean, DFW every area, you always have your top 5 guys down there. So it's competitive everywhere we go. We don't like going racing against 12 cars, 15 cars. I think we had 67 cars this weekend. I enjoy that. That's one thing I do enjoy.
Absolutely.
So in terms of the factory stock class, at one point we thought it was going to get kind of priced itself out, where, you know, you're looking at some guys spending, you know, $30,000 on a car, where you can spend money on late models and big mods for that. Where's the class now? Has it somewhat evened out? Some of the guys that kind of overspent kind of left, or is it still a little on the prices? I mean, I know every race car is expensive, don't get me wrong, but I mean, where's the class at as a whole right now?
Man, I've been racing factory stock for a while. I haven't even looked into another class, so I couldn't tell you what they cost. Racing all around, I think, went up in pricing, so I imagine your late models, your modifieds. I looked into a stock car at one time. They were pretty pricey themselves. The factory stocks, man, they're still pretty affordable. They're still one of the most affordable classes. We're still on the F45 tires. Last year, we gambled with the KK704s. Yes, it got more pricier from being on the factory stock level for so long on a reasonable price tire. But now we're allowed to groove them. Man, tire's a little bit more expensive. Guys put work into them. Of course, we try to work our own tires and still save ourselves on the long run. Of course, it does include a lot more work. But, man, other than that, I still build my own cars. Vest helps me out a lot. They're great people over there. I've got a lot of people that help me on the car, but still they're pretty affordable.
Yeah. Dalton, isn't that the cool thing? I think like what you're talking about right there. I mean, with these stock cars, for one thing, I mean, the factory stocks look cool. Like you talk about the drivers that are in the class, and all of you guys that are the mainstays and the staples. But you get guys that race modified, sport mods, all these different things, late models, and they come down to race with you guys. It really is the best of the best. Anytime you get a big show together, like we just had at Boot Hill, where you guys are out there, just I mean, to make the show, I think is a win in and of itself a lot of times.
Yeah, it's tough to make it through the heat races, through the B mains, and then make it to the show. I've been lucky enough quite a few times I pull it off in the heat races to make it to the show and don't have to fight through the B mains. But I've been there multiple times. So it's tough. It's a lot of racing. You get a lot of experience, more time on the track though. So it's not really a losing game. They only qualify usually top 2, top 4 cars. So you still have a very good chance, starting top 6 rows, 50 laps. It's a long race, so it gives you a chance.
Absolutely.
Dalton, let's talk about Boot Hill as a racetrack. Man, it just seems like everybody funnels to that track, especially when it comes to factory stocks. It's like the car to track ratio for that is like it's almost the perfect track for factory stocks. What makes the appeal on that? Is it the track having the big shows that makes the guys show up? Is it the money they're running up there? I mean, talk about the unique relationship that the factory stocks have with Boot Hill.
Man, since I've been going to Boot Hill since 2017, it's a very racy track, multiple groove. It's always a good facility. The people, the environment, it's a great environment over there. One thing that attracts a lot of the cars, I think, is they have multiple paying races throughout the year. I mean, they have a 10,000 to win every year. We have, I think, 2 5,000 to win over there, multiple 1,000, 1,500 to win races. Now that Rollo and Bubba are putting on the races over there, man, it's just a great environment over there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dalton. So you get this one out of the way. What's next? What's the next big one for you? I think that's one of those things where you're like one of those guys like in the old days where it's like Faulkner comes to town and people are like, whoa. So what's next?
They have the Triple Crown Throwdown here coming up, not this weekend, but the next. Right now, our focus is the Mike Parker Memorial at the end of May, which is Justin's race. He puts on over there at 67 this year. We won it last year. We won it, I want to say it was 2019. We won it also. But our main focus is that right now. We might show up at the Triple Crown Throwdown, just see how our schedule goes.
Mm-hmm.
So is that how you pick and choose? You pick and choose money-wise? You pick and choose schedule, just how it fits? I mean, how do you pick your schedule without giving away all your secrets so people know when you're going to show up?
Man, for sure. We always say if there's money on the line, I'm going to show up, especially if it's scheduled. We plan for that. So we always shoot for the better paying shows.
So Dalton, I have to ask you, because I'm going to talk about this, or we'll talk about this here in a little bit. So all that nonsense afterwards, does that rattle you with any of that with those guys? I mean, you and Justin, I mean, a great race right there. Obviously, there's a lot of other story to all of that, but kind of sucks that you go out there and you make that pass, and a lot of folks are talking about all that other Mickey Mouse crap.
Man, I kind of try to avoid the drama. Really, Neil's a friend. Justin, he's a good friend. We were friends before that. What goes on before they tangle up on the track, I'll be friends with them after. We leave that on the side, and I go show up and do my thing out there.
There it is. Good stuff. Sorry, Bobby, you got one more, or are you good, my man?
No, I think I was just trying to figure out where he's going to show up. I was hoping he's going to say he's going to show up to Houston at the asphalt and try that out for size, just to see what he thinks about factory stocks on pavements over there at H&P.
Thank you. How do we get you there? I guess it's got to be like 5,000 to win, I think.
Man, I think they pay pretty reasonable right now on a weekly show over there. I think it's 800 to win. I mean, I think it pays pretty reasonable down. Don't hold me to it, but man, we'll probably make our showing over there. I do still have the old car Roxy, so we can play with her a little bit and maybe show up down there.
Good call, Bobby. Let me know what to do, man. Yeah, it is 800 to win. We're planning on some big stuff, and I'll hook you up for the weekend at the Holiday Inn. I'll do whatever I need to do to get you there, man. Really good stuff. Congratulations. Another big one for you, another Triple Crown, and just keep doing it, dude. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate y'all's time.
You got it, man. Take care.
Appreciate it.
You bet. There he goes, Dalton Faulkner. That dude, Bobby. It really is. We've had a lot of conversations on the show. Remember when we talked to Freddie and all the different things? It is like and again, I know this is I'm putting him on a very tall pedestal, but when Dalton Faulkner comes to town, that's, oh shit, here comes Dick Trickle. Here comes Freddie Fryer. Here comes Rob Sineker. I mean, that's really what that is.
I mean, he's got a reputation behind him in a good, solid way, not a bad reputation. I mean, It really is. Like when he shows up, it's like, one time when I took my group of friends, my work friends, up to Cotton Bowl, and they said, "Who's going to win?" I was like, "Oh, watch that purple car in the back." And I said, "Well, he's starting like 20th. Don't matter. Just watch that purple car cut through that field, and I guarantee you, by lap 10, he'll be up front." And lo and behold, he worked his way through that field and got to the front and smoked their ass on a weekly show there at Cotton Bowl.
That's right. Boom, there he was. So it's Faulkner, Colin Hodges. I mean, good run for Colin. He had to get in through, I think, one of the B mains. He gets himself in there. CJ Howell, Du Bois, and Kemp, and obviously Kemp and Whitehead got together right there. And I think a lot of that, I know that, and this is where we go back to like talking about Faulkner. And you guys feel free to check in here, but keep it PG. I mean, seriously, we don't need to talk about all the other bullshit. But it's one of those things when those guys are that good. When those guys are that good, and then if you really go back and look at that video, I don't blame either one of those guys. And I don't think, only, like I always say, only they know what happened. But dude, there was a lot of shit happening at the end of that race. And it that's what happens when you put that kind of money on the line.
Well, some of it was racing, some of it was extracurricular. There is that razor line thin version of what you call extracurricular versus what you call racing, right? Both guys had a chance to be pissed off. Half the fans showed it one way, thought, well, it's like you were split 50-50, right? If you're a fan of the 36, you're upset at the 20. If you're a fan of the 20, you're upset at the 36.
Right.
It just depends on which way you fall on that. But it really was. It was just aggressive racing. Like Shane said, looked like hard racing. I think it was hard and aggressive racing because these guys, the one thing they don't want to do is finish second, third, or fourth. But damn, that's, I think it was just really, really just for me, it was a good race to watch on the highlights.
Man, I agree. And there's always going to be, there's always that backstory. I mean, there's the other stuff. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, these two are not best friends, and they were at one point, and for whatever reason they're not. And it's not for us to sit here, but that's going to come up. And I think while I'm not going to blame either one, for the wreck, I mean, I think it was just a condition of what they were doing at that point, the aftermath and all of that. I mean, that's where, when we want to talk about people behaving and doing things, I mean, I totally get it. I mean, some of that emotion, I could understand that. I mean, I could understand some of that shit if, Neil and Justin got out of the car, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened in the pits or none of that. I just know that other people were involved. If those dudes wanted to get out and go to the Circle K and fight in the parking lot, fine, let them. But I mean, the other stuff, it's like, don't. Hey, but we're sitting here talking about it, and I'm sure it's going to be a great highlight. And it's got people fired up, and people are calling each other names, and it's like, come on, man, just.
I've seen the highlight. I know what position it is in the highlight reel that should be out tomorrow from our friends on Race On.
Yeah. And here's William, the collectible. Let me tell you something about this. I was waiting for somebody to comment on this, and I mentioned to Bobby before we went live. This right here. You know what this cost me? This cost me $20. You know why? Because this was in 1995. This is an original. This is a year before Terry won that NASCAR championship. So that's why it's all wrinkled up and everything. I found it. I threw it on, and somehow the son of a gun still went around my fat self. So that's why I put this on. Throwback weekend or week. Throwback Monday or whatever we call it. But I don't even want to know what that stuff costs right now. A lot.
Oh, the stuff behind me?
Yeah, he must be talking about your stuff. I mean,
it's I don't want to put it on the record, but it ain't cheap. I probably could have bought a couple of race cars for the amount of money I spent on some of that shit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there you go. 10-10 racing deal. I mean, if this were any other two, if this was any other two racers involved in this, folks wouldn't be it wouldn't be that big of a story. It would be a great finish. And everything else that transpires when you have this kind of finish. Like we saw at the NASCAR race. It would be more like that with what we saw yesterday. But given the fact that it's those two dudes, and it's not surprising that it's those two dudes because I mean, arguably, I mean, we get the guy we just talked to. We talked to Faulkner, Neil, and Justin. Those dudes are amazing. Those dudes are the best in the business at not only racing those things but building them, and I think that's why they're so good. If it wasn't those two and all the other shenanigans didn't happen, I don't think it would be quite that big a story.
Well, it's kind of like they have magnets, right? That's what old Greg Davison used to say, right? Some cars just have magnets, and they're always stuck together, and that's what happens with those two dudes is they're always stuck together because they got great programs and they both like to run up front, and that's where they like to be. The problem is at the end of the day, despite how cool that podium finish thing is they have going at Cotton Bowl Speedway with first, second, and third, nobody likes to stand on the short steps. Everybody wants to stand on that tall step. Yeah. And that creates problems. That creates egos, but that creates a hell of a lot of fun, especially for people like us to talk about.
That's the whole thing. I mean, when you have all that stuff that's going to happen, I mean, it is, I mean, we all know this is a very ego-driven sport. And, it is. I mean, that's the thing right there. And then when you add in the extras, and it did irritate me a little bit because I got done in Houston and I went back to the hotel. Bobby, you know how I'm wired. I mean, I get back and I'm sitting there going to Race On or Flow or Racing America. Wherever it is, I'm going back and trying to figure out whatever the hell I missed because I feel like I missed something. I went back and I watched that and I'm like, okay, I totally get it. Kind of pissed me off in the sense of Dalton Faulkner for the way that he made the pass. And I should have pulled the video. I'm sorry I didn't do that. You can find it at raceon.com. I'm sorry that I didn't do that, but it kind of pissed me off that he sat there and methodically worked over Justin Whitehead, made the pass on lap 32, and yet everybody else is talking about all the other bullshit. That kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Well, but it's good news, though. I think if you're Dalton Faulkner, you're like, hey, I don't want the drama. I want the money. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, he could care less about the drama. He only cares about that fight. He's got 5,000 reasons to not give a shit about the drama behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. And he does that, and he does it well. And I'm sure Dalton, like he was just talking about, Dalton Faulkner coming to a track near you very, very soon. Be watching out for that. Hey, thanks to all the new folks checking in right here. Really, really cool stuff. By the way, we are one of our great partners, obviously. Bobby's got the gear on. I don't have mine on tonight because I squeezed all this into this 1995 wardrobe. And it is, look, old school. It's got corny down here and all that. But of course, one of our partners is On Demand Shirts, San Antonio, Texas. They can take care of you racers. How about a quick word before we talk to Bobby Blake from On Demand Shirts? Absolutely. On-Demand Shirts, ondemandshirts.com. Very good weekend for the On-Demand Shirts group out there with everything going on, and another weekend coming up. So, Bobby, let's talk about Texana. I think it was really cool for you guys getting to honor your champs. It's banquets and all that. I think banquets kind of fell by the wayside with COVID, but you guys got to honor the champs and the top three and so forth, and that's cool. That's still a big deal to me, especially when you get trophies like we have right here from 317 Awards.
Yeah, they were really nice trophies. A lot of the guys were gone because some of the top dogs, for whatever reason, I think one guy had a blown motor, one guy was out gambling. Another guy was out actually with his kids doing the go-kart stuff. So we had a mixed array of different dudes coming up to get their dudes and ladies coming up to get their trophies. So It's a lot of fun. I recognize most of them, despite being down there for so long. I'm just now starting to put faces with cars because I'm so used to just seeing them in the cars. That's the one thing that's kind of weird about a dirt track, right? Is that, and I know you experienced that at Racing Ranch. So we tend to know more people in Corpus than we do in Texana because a lot of the Corpus racers are the old CC Speedway asphalt racers.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny, like the unless it's a big show, I don't feel like the dirt racers hang around, drink beer, and party like the asphalt guys do, like what we do after an H&P race.
Or used to do. So somebody was asking me the other day about, hey, still have the parking lot party? I'm like, yeah, I go to my room and drink a 6-pack of beer. But I know what you mean, and that's a lot of that is, I think, because the dirt trackers, man, they got to go. They got to race the next day. I think that's a lot of it.
And they're like, well, they're over there in the white truck with the white trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
great.
Yeah,
I mean, don't be wrong. There are some teams that actually do party and drink. I've indulged with them from time to time. Our friend, On Demand Shirts, that team over there. I've had some beverages with James Cole in them. So I'm not saying it's just not uncommon. It's just not as much common as it used to be for us in the asphalt days.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But speaking of asphalt, let's go back. I mean, we always talk here on the show about talking about Texas roots and Texas stuff. We talk about the days that were Houston. We just had asphalt. We're talking about dirt and everything here. We welcome into the Revved Up Hotline, and we're doing this via phone, all the way to Florida. Welcoming in one of the guys that has checked into the show, kind of watches, and now we're going to talk some good stuff. It is our man Bobby Blake. Bobby, how we doing, man?
Doing okay, man. How you guys?
Man, we're doing well. Thank you for joining the show, man. Super excited to have you on here. It's always fun to just talk about the old stuff. I mean, you're still involved with this. I mean, your thoughts on how racing has kind of I mean, it's a different day and time nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's only money, right?
Exactly.
That's what it's about. But
right.
we're doing pretty good. I'm still in it. I don't drive anymore, but I own open wheel modified, Florida open wheel modified, and got a young kid, Dylan LeBeau, driving it, and he does real good.
Yeah,
does real good in it.
That's awesome.
So
Bobby, how does it racing compare between Texas and Florida? I want to know from a guy that's been on both sides. We talked to the guys from Pensacola. We talked to the guys from Texas. Both guys think they're great. As somebody that's done both, set the record straight, man.
Well, all right, I'll set the record straight. I didn't learn how to cheat till I moved down here. So,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, these guys in the supers and all that, they don't play down here. They for real. I'm not saying they cheat. I'm just saying, when I first moved down here with my super late model, and man, I couldn't keep up. I tried every setup, I tried everything, and this and that, and then somebody goes, "Hey, man, you gotta do this to your tires." I go, "What? What's this?" And I did that. Okay, now I can keep up, but I still can't pass nobody. And so basically, when I moved down here, I had the wrong engine combination. When I first moved down here, they had the 355 flat top 750 carburetor, and with my 331 cubic inch with the 390 carburetor, just wouldn't keep up.
Yeah. No doubt. And Bobby, in those times, because it always was, I mean, I talk about that still nowadays to where, back in the late 80s and 90s, it always was for guys in Texas, it was always, we want to go to Florida. We want to go to Mississippi. Right. We want to do that. That never reciprocated back to us. But
yeah,
Florida being the destination, seriously, for pavement racing, I mean, I'm sorry, that's the place to be, in my opinion.
Yes, it is. We have more asphalt tracks here than we do dirt tracks. That's the truth.
Oh, yeah, God, that breaks my heart.
So I mean, we got New Smyrna Speedway, Arbondale, Citrus County, Showtime. They fixing to open another one, Bronson. They fixing to open it back up, and then we got the Freedom Factory, DeSoto. And it's all within 1 hour drive from me.
Nice.
Every track.
Love it.
So I'm Central Florida. The only track. Well, I left one out, Pensacola.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
Pensacola's 6 hour drive for me though. You know, that's why I don't go there much or everything. So
yeah, man, you are
but
way down there because that's
yeah,
right. That's right on the tip.
Yeah, I'm on Central Florida. I'm in the middle. I'm an hour from Daytona, an hour from Gulf of Mexico. Either way I go, you know,
Nice.
east or west, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like 4 hours from Miami.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
Central
nice.
Florida.
Cool.
So anyway, but basically, yeah, asphalt racing is, you know, they do a lot of it down here.
Mm-hmm.
That's you know, I think there's like maybe 4 dirt tracks that I know of, maybe 3, and that's it. You know.
I love it.
So it ain't like Texas. I know there's a bunch of them in Texas. I know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep. So.
Well, there's not many asphalt as there used to be. Not like back in the TIDA days, man. I mean, it was like
No.
it was nothing to load up and drive 6 hours to Midland to watch a TIDA race, or 8 hours up to Sooner to watch you guys run around that half mile up there. I mean, talk about back in the day, man. Like, how much fun was that? Was it more fun back in the day, or is it more fun now?
Yeah. No. It was way fun back then than it is now. I mean, it's the TIDA days were awesome. You know, I wish it never ended. I wish, you know, the only reason why I moved down here is because I heard rumors of my hometown track closing. I heard rumors that Austin was going, you know, has already been sold and it's going to be a
Walmart.
I think a Walmart or something. And I'm going, okay, that's 2.
Yep.
And then where have I got it? And you got to understand, at this time, Houston was not built.
Yep.
You know, so I said, okay, now all I had is Corpus Christi, which took us 13. That's why my team never done good in Corpus, which we know we got. I think our best finish in Corpus Christi was like a 5th place. And the reason why is because 13 hours to get there. And then once my crew got there, the first thing they wanted to do, guys, is go to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then we woke up the next morning. I was the only one ready to go.
Yep.
Everybody else was so, you know, hungover and tired and this and that, and we just could never get it rolling, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, in I say in 1991, and 92 was their best TI. Well, that's the only 2 years that I ran. I ran in 1990, but I had an old car, you know.
Yeah.
And I would do good, but fall back. And then my sponsors bought me a new car, and they wanted to know what I wanted, and I told them. And at that time, guys, you could have bought a Port City for 10.5, a left-hander that was just coming out for 10.5, or Port City. One of them was just starting up, you know, and a Howe for I think under 10.
Damn.
But mine cost $22,000.
Yeah.
And it came from Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a Dennis Springs chassis. And when it came here and I got it already, guys, it was like 4 years ahead of its time.
Wow, man.
Matter of fact, if y'all know Jay Watson, of course, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, he knew I was moving. He come to my shop and he goes, Bobby, let me take pictures, let me take measurements, and let me copy this chassis. And when you move to Florida and you need anything, because this wasn't like it is now on left-hander in Port City, pick up the phone and call and get it. Boom. No, Dennis Springs built everything on this thing. A-arms, lower arms, everything. Rear, everything.
Yeah.
And so Jay says, if you let me do this, if you have any problem done a wreck and they'll let you give me a call, boom, I'll mail it to you free of charge. You just pick it up.
Yeah.
I said, it's a deal. He came down to my shop and spent a week taking pictures, measurements, and everything. And that young man went, and I think he won the championship 2 times in a row before CIDA quit.
Yep.
Or folded.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. Yep.
He did. Yeah. I mean, it came down to, you know, him and Slick and all those guys. I mean, he was the one that knocked Slick off and Umshide. I mean, they had great races. But Bobby, and you mentioned that. I know you said in 1990, you know, wasn't your best year. Hell, you won that year at Twin Cities. I mean, you got to win that year. You got one in 91. And then you won it at Speed or at Longhorn, and then Twin Cities again. So I mean, don't talk about
and Longhorn again. I've won that track over in Oklahoma Altus, Oklahoma.
Altus.
I won, and I won there twice, and I set the track record at every one of them.
Damn.
Every one except Corpus Christi, and I set fast time. I think no, that was it. I think San Antonio. I might have set fast time at San Antonio. I don't remember, but I think I did. I can't remember. But San Antonio was another track. I think fourth was my best finish. But we know it's a track that that you have to go to and learn how to set up.
Yep.
And I don't know what the deal was with Corpus Christi. I don't know if it's just when the sand got on the racetrack, it was just we just couldn't get a good grip there. I don't know, but and y'all guys know San Antonio, man, what a track that was. It was awesome track, and hate to see that track leave too, because it was just awesome to get around. Once you learned it, it was fun, fun to get around. Yeah. And we finally got the package down. We was good. We was all excited, and at that same time, Larry and Jay Watson figured out a setup, and they walked off and left me and Rick Raps like we was setting still, like a half a straightaway. We couldn't catch them. So it was awesome.
Those were the days.
But you want to hear some stories? I'm gonna tell you something.
Bring them on, Bobby.
Bring
them on.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. David Umshot, what a great man he is. I'm telling you. We raced hard at Twin City Speedway. To the point was, we got into it. And I mean, in the pits, everybody, blah, 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 blah. Well, me and him, we went in the trailer, we talked, we looked, we shook hands. 2 weeks later, we're going to Corpus Christi. And here we are. And my motor, by the time I got into Corpus Christi, my motor was knocking. Could barely go 35 miles an hour. I was scared. I was blowing my motor up. I said, I still got to get home. You got to realize I run TIDA on a very small budget.
Right.
Very small. And when I pulled in the motel, there was David Unshot and his crew right there drinking, a couple beers or whatever, and I go, oh, great, man. I just had it in with this guy. And anyway, he goes, hey, Bobby, glad you make it down. You just get here. Yeah, I just got here. But my motor's knocking, he rev it up. Boy, I rev it up. Boy, ping, go. Oh, he goes, oh, that's a knock. Hey, I can fix it. Give me a jug of water. I'm going, hey, wait a minute, man. Wait, what? He took the air cleaner off that thing, and he revved that thing up, poured water down that thing. I went, oh, my God, I can't believe I just let this guy do this, man. And that thing straightened right up and ran and made it all the way home the next day and not in perfect.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, you just had a bunch of carbon on top of your piston. We just knocked it off. It's good. You're good to go. Now, sit there and almost fault this man, and then he helped you get your truck ready to drive 13 hours home. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
No doubt. No doubt about that.
It's something else.
Yep.
So, Bobby, what do you remember about the late, great Neil Upchurch? Tell me about your relationship with him. Obviously, he kind of like the Bill France of Texas racing there, kind of hard-nosed, but yet, he kind of was ahead of his time doing those races at Texas World Speedway and then setting up TIDA with the super late models. Talk about some old Neil Upchurch stories.
Well, I really don't have any really good Neil Upchurch stories, other than I can tell you one time I missed driver's meeting and at my hometown track because I left the track to get a part for somebody else, because my shop was 2 miles down the road from the track. I can get it, come back. Well, I missed driver's meeting. And that car he did get his stuff back together, and he did race. But I only had one qualifying lap. Mm-hmm. So I go out there and I qualified 10th. One lap. That's all I got. As soon as I went out there and went across that, boom, one lap. That's it. And then I started 10th, and I went on. I won the race. And Neil Church come out there and he says, "Hey, Bob, this is a Good Samaritan Award trophy, not a win trophy." And I said, "Okay, well, where's the win trophy?" And he turned around and handed me the same trophy. This one right here.
Oh, man.
So that's about the only story I got him. He's a good man. I wish he could have kept on going. At TIDA was fun, but it does take cars, to keep something going like that. And I hated to leave, but I heard stories, about all these tracks closing, and And so when I heard my uncle lived here, and he said, "Man, we run year round down here, and you can pick a tractor. You can go in cheap. We got at that time there was 5 or 6 tracks, asphalt tracks to run on. They just pick one, go."
Yeah.
So
No,
I moved down here in '93, and I lost my sponsor too.
Wow.
She passed away. Rita Perry.
Yeah,
Bob and Rita Perry.
yeah.
Yes.
That's actually something here. Checking in on our Facebook post, I think it is Facebook feed. Our man Tom Taylor, who is the by the way, belated happy birthday to Tom Taylor, the historian. He's like he wants us to ask you about Rita's baby.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's a car. I would think.
That's the car. Yeah. Well, that was my Super. See, this all started in a. I don't know how much time y'all got.
Oh, have
this
at
all
it, dude.
started. This all started. There's a place. Then and it was called Party Keg Headquarters. You go there and have a beer, or you can rent a keg or whatever. And I used to go in there after work and have a few beers. And I asked the owner if hey man, you want to sponsor my super late model? And at this time I wasn't running TID8. I was just running. I was winning all the races there at Twin City Speedway before Twin Cities. Before I joined TID8. And the deal is that the Twin City is not going to run supers no more.
Oh, wow.
That if you wanted to run a super late model, you had to follow the TID8 tour. So anyway, that pretty much put me out. I can't. I didn't have no money. It was tough. And then the guy that owned that Party Keg Headquarters, he gave me $250 to buy a drum of fuel, and I took him a picture up there and hung on the wall.
Oh wow!
And you just never know who's going to go in and have a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Perry come up there, and he goes up there and he drink. That's where he goes and has a couple of beers after work, and he says, "Who owns that car?" And he said, "That gentleman at the end of the bar does."
Yeah.
And he come over and sat down beside me and goes, "Hey, what would it cost to put Rita's baby on the side of that car?" And I go, well, I don't know. Right now I can't run here local anymore because they don't run us no more. I got to run this tour. So, and I got to get the car ready, and that's going to cost this much. I got to freshen the motor. I got to hang a new body. I got to do this. I got to do that. And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't ask you all that."
Yeah.
He goes, "How much do you need?" And I said, "Well, to start off with, about 5,000. And he got up and he came back and he said, "I'll be here tomorrow at 5:00. I said, "Okay." So I'm there at 5:00 the next day, and I'm going, "Man, well, you get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, right?" Yeah, well, man, about 5:15, he walked in with an envelope. Says, "Here, and here you go." And he gave me $5,000 cash, and ever since then, it's just where you buy tires. I said, "Oh, I got to go to San Antonio to get a U-Haul. We don't buy 4, we buy a bunch." I said, "Oh, you got it." So, and when you got a sponsor like that, the time to freshen the motor up, mid-season. Boom, get it out, get it up there and get it done, So,
oh man, that's awesome. I love that.
And then when Rita passed away, then he stopped it. He just did it for her. Yeah. So it was her team.
That's great.
So
that's great. I love that.
Yep. It was awesome.
So, Bobby, another story somebody asked us to talk to you about is the Richard Petty driving experience. What kind of stories you got about that over there?
Oh, I did that. I did that here when it was Richard Petty driving experience. It's called NASCAR racing experience now, or driving experience now.
Yeah.
And I did that for quite a few years down here. I give rides at Daytona, and used to be Walt Disney World Speedway. Of course, that is no longer there. It's a hotel now.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just had some good times, man. I've seen just about everything. I've seen people pass out beside me. I've got stories I can't say on the radio.
Yep.
But it's awesome. Put it to you this much. I'm the reason why they had to put a fire suit on. See, used to just put a helmet on, hop in there in the seat there beside you, and you give them a ride,
Well, and see, Bobby, that's something I want to ask you, because I know we had Freddie Fryer on here a few years back, before he passed, and he was talking about giving folks a ride, doing like what you're talking about, and he's like, I'd ride up against a fence, I'd rub that thing up against that. Isn't that kind of one of those things where it's like hard to not like try to scare the shit out of them. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
man,
Well, I didn't.
what we do,
Yeah, and I didn't
know?
have to try hard. I mean, it was. I
Yeah.
mean, when you're sitting over there, and especially at Daytona, I mean, when they sit there and tell you they gave you 155 or 165 mile an hour ride, that's what they gave you.
That's right.
Right there. I mean, have y'all done it in Texas? Have y'all went for a ride or drive over there in Texas?
No, I've never done it, but I raced. I never got to race. I always wanted to race
Yeah.
at TWS. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought that would have been so cool, but no,
Yeah.
I've never done that. I've never done that.
I did that with TIDA on the road course.
So how fun was that? Because we've talked
That
to.
was that was a blast until I welded my clutch together. Nobody told me you can't do that with a 2-disc clutch. Nobody told me. I mean, I went down that front stretch, and I got to the corner and I downshifted. Boom, that was it. That clutch was welded together. You wasn't pushing it in.
Oh, Bobby. So how was speaking of that? So the drop off of the front stretch. I mean, you were on that banking, and you had to like. Guys tell stories about when they had to drop off into turn one, where it's like you stand on the gas, don't let off until you flatten out. That had to have been scary as hell. I think.
Yeah, it was like a 4-wheel drift, but it was fun. I mean, I called Dennis, the guy who built my car. I said, "Hey, Dennis, I need a setup." He goes, "How many right turns are there?" I said, "Just 2." He said, "Leave the car alone, take and take the sway bar and make it solid on both ends."
Oh,
I said, "You're kidding me." He said, "Nah, just suffer through the right turns. It'll haul ass on the flat, left-hand turns." I said, "Okay," and it did. I mean, if I didn't lock that clutch up, I'd done real good there.
Yep, no doubt.
Real good.
No doubt.
So, but that, that happened, so.
Shit happens. That's for sure.
Yeah. I never knew. Nobody told me, I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know you couldn't run a 2-disc on a road course,
Yeah.
Got to be a 3-disc or, So.
That's right.
And it was one of them 2-disc 8.5 inch, quartermasters.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
Anyway, so, but the TIDA, man, that in '92, after we lost Rita, Bob Perry just said, "We'll run this year." Then, after that, we're done, and I can't, he didn't fund the whole thing, but he helped out when he could, and then in '93, my uncle told me, "Hey man, we race year round down here. Come on, we'll find you a sponsor." And man, I packed up my whole shop and got my last paycheck, and here I came, and been here ever since.
Gone.
So
I love it.
I'm a 3-time New Smyrna track champion in the modifieds. I won almost won Orlando, but I had it taken away on we had a gear rule, and I had it. I was 2 points over the gear. So yeah,
that sucks.
So I got busted there, but
yeah,
no
doubt.
And that USA International Speedway USA.
Oh, the 3/4 mile, yeah, the big one.
Man, I mean, I almost cried when we lost that track. I mean, because it was beautiful, it was fun, it was awesome, track to race at, and hated to lose that.
Yeah.
So
that sucks, man. Bobby, that's what we go through nowadays. I mean, like you said, I mean, Longhorn is gone. I mean, San Antonio is there.
I know.
Yeah, TWS is gone. I mean, Altus. I mean, all the fun things that we had here are now gone. And we have
and that track, Austin, that make you a driver out of you. I mean, you learn that racetrack, and boy, you can run anywhere.
Oh, Bobby, that's where I learned how to drive. Street stock, no power steering.
Wow!
Back in the day, it was one of those things where it was like, man, just get out there and wrestle that thing around, man. Getting some good stuff. Somebody's asking, and we'll cut you loose here in just a second. But somebody's asking about a camera. You hit a camera?
Oh man, I know who's doing this. Okay,
this is David LeBeau. David LeBeau, is who's asking this stuff.
Yeah, Dylan LeBeau. No, Disney came down and they had like a camera, and it was not a camera. Excuse me, a recording device. Disney was doing something, and they needed some cars to go buy this recording device that cost $200,000.
Holy shit.
I mean, and you could go by, zoom, 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 and they wanted that sound, of cars going by. I mean, they had center blocks out there with this thing sitting on it, with this mannequin head sitting on top of on top of it, with the speakers in its ears, because that's what picks up the sound.
Yep.
And it was me and a couple other drivers, and I was the head driver there, and we went by it, and they said, okay, stop, so we stopped over and turned on the back stretch over there, and this guy's hollering, man, I thought I hired professionals. I need y'all closer, a lot closer. And I said, okay, all right. So we went and we done it, here we go. We come out of there. And I'm telling you right now, when I looked in my mirror, I mean, that car behind me, just inches away from it,
Damn.
And I'm going, phew, wow, okay, And he told us on the radio, he says, y'all come down pit road and come to a stop. I want to talk to y'all. So we come down there and we stopped. We looked up in the flag stand, and this guy goes, look, y'all are this far away from it. I need you this close. And if it can't get done, I need to hire some different drivers or somebody to get the job done. I said, okay, you got it, man. I said, man, I don't know how close this guy wants. So I get up about 110 mile an hour, come across there, and I'm looking up. Move over just a little bit more. All right, here we go. The next thing you know, boom, and that thing went up there, up over my car. Man, I think we crashed like 4 cars right there and going into turn 1 there at Walt Disney World Speedway. Because they were hitting the center blocks, almost, getting up on their side, almost flipping over. And I went, holy shit. And after it was all said and done it was all quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. And I pushed the mic in and said, hey, guys, that close enough?
Oh!
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and I almost got it, man. And anyway, they said that the big man came down and said, because they were wanting their money, they were wanting their money. And when the big guy come down there and says, hey guys, if I had $1 that every time I hit a camera because the camera guy said closer, he goes, I'd be richer than I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he goes, y'all don't do nothing, Bobby. He just doing what he was told to do. And, stuff happens, so.
That's right.
I got my job. I didn't lose my job.
That's the most important part. Don't lose your job, man. That is super great. Bobby, man.
And I had one guy, he goes, I was giving rides to this one guy, and I gave a ride, and this was the 12th ride. He'd get out of my car, and he'd go out there, and he says, you get a little closer to that wall, I'll buy another ticket. I got a little closer. Does you get next to that wall, I'll buy another ticket. But after the 12th ride, I went over and just barely, the front fender, just a little bit of scratch, and that was it. Yeah. And man, they got me in trouble. They pulled me out of the car. Said, you're gonna buckle people in for 2 weeks. You're gonna do all this. And then the boss man come down, not Richard, but the boss man there at Walt Disney World. And he goes, man, what was you thinking? And I said, well, I was thinking that I made the company $1,300 is what I was thinking. He turned around and walked away from me.
Oh my God.
He didn't fire me. So.
No, dude, that is so awesome. That is so awesome.
So that's what I thought. I'm making the company money. I thought that's what they want.
That's what it's all about. It's all about making money. I thought that was the goal. So anyway,
but they want you to do it without wrecking. I can understand that.
I know.
Not tearing cars up.
Ain't nothing wrong with making them shit their pants. That's why they want an experience. So that's a great experience. So really good stuff right there.
So.
Bobby, man, we got to do this again, dude. Man. Let's. Man, this has been, dude. Great story.
Yeah,
great story.
Yeah, we got to do it again, and we need to get some other drivers, and we can talk some good times. That David Unshot. I took it away from him on the last lap at my home track, and I let him tell you about that one because he thought he had that one. He led them all but one lap.
Yeah.
He started. He from the green flag, and we got the white flag, and there was 2 lap cars side by side, and he chose to go to the inside, and when I went to the outside car went on, and I took won it on the last lap, but Oh, he was upset. I never seen somebody throw a helmet like he was mad. And I don't blame him, but still, you know, it's
well, you know, it is what it is. Bobby, I'm going to
yeah,
send you some information because they're doing a San Antonio race reunion. And it's San Antonio, but it's going to be more. I mean, it's going to be you know, TIDA. It's going to be all that, and it's towards the end of the year.
yeah,
Man, maybe if you could come down, I think that would be good. You'd see a lot of old
yeah.
friends, and then you know, drink some beers and
Oh yeah,
talk some shit.
yeah.
You know?
I can see what I can do. I'm glad to see that that um let's see. Right now I'm trying to think of a lot of people's names and I can't think of it, but
Yeah, yeah,
I can't think of it. But
yeah. No,
anyway,
there's a lot of
never
those
mind.
a lot of those guys that are still at it. But I'll send that to you, and maybe you can come up and we'll sit there and do it in person, my man.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, Bobby. Thank you for being a
All
part
right.
of this, man. This has been so much fun. And again,
Yeah, thank y'all. Appreciate it, man.
we'll do part 2, my man. We'll do part 2.
Oh, you got it.
You got it. Take
All
care.
right, buddy. All right,
You
bye.
bet. There he goes, man. Ooh, that's some stories right there, Bobby.
I'm telling you, dude, we need to do that forum.
Oh,
That
man.
forum, but we get all those old school TIDA guys together. You know, get them all. Get Jay Watson, get Tommy Grimes, get Slick Yeomans, Keith Reefmeyer, David Umshine, John Kelly, Bobby Blake. Get them all.
Yeah.
Just get them all and put the mic. Bring the alcohol, bring the liquor, and bring the microphones and the recorders, because that's what it's going to take to tell some of the best damn stories ever. Because they get some of them get a little lubed up before they come on here.
Yeah.
And they just tip of the iceberg on some of the stories they tell, because some of the statute of limitations is run out on some of them TIDA stories for sure.
Yeah. No, they all they come on, and it's like Bobby even mentioned that to me. He's like, what the hell are we going to talk about? I'm like, dude, we're going to talk about you guys. We're going to talk about the things that you did, and all of that cool stuff. So really fun conversation right there. We'll get that podcast and get the get that up on YouTube for you guys and the Florida folks. Thanks for checking in, because it's like all the Florida guys are checking in. It's like, that's Bobby Blake. It's like, damn, Bobby Blake. I'm like, yeah, he was here before he was there. So really cool stuff. All right, let's dive back in. Stems modified on the racetrack again this past weekend at the Cotton Bowl, and great racing happening out there. This is the guy that they're all chasing. Top of the heap once again. Let's welcome in to the Revved Up Sports Show. It is our man Logan Dinsmore. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. But before we talk about the weekend, talk about Stems, man. I like that this is something that it's kind of bringing you guys all together, man. And the car counts are exceptional right now.
Oh yeah. You know, car counts are dwindling. I mean, racing is going down as a whole across the smaller level, I guess.
Yep.
And modifieds is a class we love, and me and my dad both race them. And 37 was getting 10 to 12 to at most 15, 16 on a 1,000 win night. Mm-hmm. And Cotton Bowl was down to 10 or 8. Texana was down. Corpus was down. So something had to be done. And Jacob stepped up. Jacob and John Horch stepped up, and we're now averaging 20 cars a night. So it's really nice to race against a full field.
That's right. That's right.
So, Logan, in terms of the series as a whole right now, obviously you've won, I think 3 in a row, or at least three races on the season. The competitive level of that series, I think, doesn't go – I think that, you know, after seeing the race at Texana in person and calling that race, there's an intensity, but yet the intensity is not a let's just crash everybody and all of that kind of stuff. The race in itself took to the forefront, and it's like you guys are racing those big ass expensive modifieds for a reason, because you guys are doing the best racing that we've seen in a hot minute.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I've been racing for 3 years now, I started in modified. So as long as I've been in the mods, it's always been respectful. You've got a few guys that are learning, but other than that, you don't have a problem with nobody, and everyone races hard and they race clean for the most part. And the only problems we've had so far is you get into lap traffic, things get hairy, but I think that happens everywhere. So yeah, I mean, you got a lot of competitive guys. You got Maupin, Leonard, Morris, Carroll, Doyen. I mean, there's a lot of good cars out there. So
Yeah, no doubt. And kind of talk about that part, Logan. I think that where a lot of guys, as they've come to be in the Stems fold, something very organized and structured, like you're talking about, they realize that it's not. I mean, you got to be respectful. I mean, we all want to win. We all want to do what we want to do. But man, you can't be tearing these things up. I mean, because it's not cheap to keep these things on the track. And I think that's been part of the problem with the modifieds is that when you had a weekly class or regular whatever, man, you tear stuff up and you can't get back on the track the next week.
yeah, you know, mods have been down for a while that I could think of that you'd have a good car count on one track, but the other tracks didn't get as they were spread thin. And so these cars are real sensitive to everything. I mean, the front end's super soft. And you got so much going on in the rear end that it's not worth it to go tear it up. And the way the Stems is going now, it's 750 to win. I guess 850 to win. A chance at 850 if you get the dice roll in the front stretch. So it pays more. We're racing against a good field of cars, and like you can't ask for more.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So Logan, call this a crazy question. When you're winning a Stems race, does it feel better than a win at, like, say, just a regular race at I-37? Does it feel any different, or is a win in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, so I won last year. I won one race, and it was the Sweaty Balls night at 37. It was a Fast Shaft All-Star qualifier, 1,000 to win. It was part of that 4-race series they put on, and that one felt pretty good. I led from green to checkered, started on the pole. But, I mean, these now we had like 14, 15 cars there. But these Stem Series races, they don't pay as much as that 1,000 to win. But it's like I think I won the first one from 9th. And had to go through lap traffic after that. And then the next one from 5th and this one from 6th. So having to go through the field, having to go around good cars, you got to work for it. They feel pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's the really cool part about this is that a lot of times you see the guy on the pole is going to win and just kind of drives off. But you've been able to, like you're talking about, I mean, drive from not the pole, not from the front row, but talk about this past weekend. Our man Chris Carroll was on here, I think it was 2 weeks ago. He's the second man in line right there. And then you talked about Chris Morris. I mean, that's a dude where they've got their stuff together. I mean, to outrun those guys and beat them there, that's really cool.
Yeah, we've hit on something. Yeah, I mean, it feels really good. Like, just the full field of cars having to drive through it. There was no this last race kind of fell in my lap. Maupin was starting to check out on us. We started to catch him back in when he got to lap traffic, but I think he had us covered and he got tangled up in a lap car and the seas parted for me. But the other two, that nothing got handed to me. It felt like I really had to work for them, and that feels really good.
Absolutely.
So what's the future hold for you so far coming up this weekend? You going to head down to the race ranch, defend a couple of wins, or what's the schedule looking like for you for the rest of the season?
I almost have to. I don't know if we're going to run the full series with work and everything, but we're going to go to Corpus. I'll be racing Jerry Elhard's sport mod also, so I'll be doing double duty. But yeah, I'll be heading up there with just myself with the pickup and trailer. See what we can do.
Old school 37 heading that way. That'll be really cool. Lastly, Logan, I mean, kind of talk about again, like you mentioned there with Stems. I mean, I think it's really cool with what Jacob and what they've done. I mean, it's structured. It's something that I mean, the purses are good. The car count is good. I mean, all of that. I mean, and obviously the ODS connection right there with the marketing and all that. I think it's really cool that the big mods, and somebody said, what's a modified? I mean, modified is a flat out badass dirt track race car. That is the only way that I can describe it. I mean, I hope that's a joke, somebody asking that, but I mean, just kind of talk about that. It's really cool to have that going on.
Yeah. I mean, the modified's a really cool car. It's just bell front clip. And then you got 4-link suspension with a pull bar and you got so much going on underneath there that, it's a really hard car to get a handle of, but it's really rewarding when you do.
Yeah.
And it's really rewarding when there's 19 cars out there, 20 cars. We're doing the full wide salute. I mean, it really feels like it's something special. So to finally have I've always felt like the mods were the premier class, but factory stocks have stepped up. Sport mods are up there for a while, but there's just so much going on with a modified. I mean, you're on a tiny 8-inch hard tire. You got 4-link suspension. You got so much going on that it's hard for them not to be the top class. They're not looked at as a top class, and I'm glad we're getting somewhere with them.
Agree. Totally agree. Good stuff, man. Great definition. All right, dude. I'll see you this weekend down on the coast.
Right.
Let's kick some ass here at the race ranch. Congratulations. And yeah, I mean, you talk about points, but I think right now you kind of have to race.
Right.
Good job, man. I know you got a lot of folks checking in, and we'll see you this weekend, dude.
All right. Thank you. See
All
y'all.
right, man. You bet. Take care. There he goes. That's a man right there. That is the man. Isn't it nice when you kind of fall into being I say fall into, but like when you're stuck, when you're that good and you have to race, really good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like your expectation, your results have exceeded your expectations, right? I mean, every racer wants to go out and win and kick ass, but I mean, I think he's won 3 of the 5, or at least 3 of the 6, however many they've run so far. So he's he's got his program. He said they found something. Apparently, they found something really good.
Yeah.
Because when you win 3, I thought there's going to be 6 different winners by now in 6 different races. But to beat the Texas All-Star lineup that he's beating for the South Texas IMCA Modifieds, that's pretty damn impressive to win 3 out of the first 5, 3 out of the first 6.
Yeah, no doubt. And our man Chris Carroll, like I was mentioning there, we had him on here, and he was like, whatever. I'm like, dude, you're second place. All right. I love that. I love that. I mean, there are so many guys that on any given weekend are going to be a part of that. And I think the really cool part is that there are so many cars in the pits and so many capable of winning. And like he said right there, he said he kind of fell into that. I don't care. You win. You win a modified race. That's a big, big damn deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know we were talking, and it's the appeal of Cotton Bowl, I think, to a certain extent. I mean, we talked to Jared after he won in the Outlaw, and then when he ran in the trucks in Houston, he's like, I got options. And so he chose to run, the STEM series there at Cotton Bowl, big, fast, wide open racetrack for the modified. So that, that I think adds to the appeal. I think that the appeal this weekend is the opportunity to go down, maybe go to the beach, like the old TIDA days that we were talking to Bobby Blake about. Go down, get a little bit of beach time, get a little bit of racetrack time, have a good time, right? Like that's what it's all about.
That's right. That is coming up on Saturday, May the 18th. It is the Stems Modified Series here at the Race Ranch, along with the Truck Series. So lots going on. All right, you guys, stick around. We'll close this thing out. Got to go down the NASCAR road. I know that we talked a little bit earlier about some stuff, but got to talk about this new thing that's coming up. We'll give those thoughts. But first, how about a word from the folks that help make this show possible? Stick around. More coming up.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here again with the Revved Up Sports Show. For nearly 3 years now, you've heard me talking about our valued partners over at Generation Race Cars. In 2023, GRC built cars visited Victory Lane on 46 occasions, driven by 9 different drivers. This year, GRC drivers are picking up right where they left off, as young Christian Gaston has already won at Cannondale Speedway. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built to the same high standards we have at GRC. Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. When you're ready to order a new car for 2024, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call at 817-528-2947. That's 817-528-2947. Take your program to victory lane with Team GRC.
right, there you go. Good stuff as we are back live. It is the Revved Up Livecast, Revved Up Sports Show, hashtag Real Race Talk, and great conversations we've had, and just kind of throwing this thing around right here as we dive out of Texas with Dalton Faulkner, the man right there that wins the Battle of Boot Hill with all that drama. But there was no drama there with what he did. And then Bobby Blake, I mean, we'll have to have him back on Logan Dinsmore STEM series. They'll be on the track again at Corpus. So Bobby, let's Bobby Chaffee. Oh shit.
Oh, sorry, wrong button. My bad.
So let's dive in. Let's talk some NASCAR. So yesterday we had the race there, Darlington. And again, I mean, with the throwbacks and everything that we had right there, I think that was super cool. Obviously, you can see who I was going for. But with that race, I mean, here we are again in another scenario to where we saw the race at Kansas. The 1.5 miles are the tracks that suck and had been all of that. This car has figured that part out. And now we're going to Wilkes, and we can talk about that here coming up in a minute. But the thoughts on the race yesterday. I was entertained again by a race that I think before the new car, I'd have been like, it's a good race yesterday. A great finish. Chris Buescher, here he is again, pissed off at Tyler Reddick. I mean, and your man. Shit. Good. It's about time. He needed to get back to victory lane.
Yeah, Special K was in it all day, running. That's what you got to do. The old ad, what was it, the Jeff Gordon thing, the Reverend put on a wall from nobody to somebody to whatever. I'll have to find it and put on there. But it's like you have to run in the top 10
yeah.
to learn how to run in the top 5. Yep. You have to run in the top 5 to run top 2. And then if you run top 2 long enough, hell, you might just hang around and win one. That's exactly what they did. He worked his ass off on a restart and managed to just keep it up front. And, Darlington is always an entertaining race. Yeah. I think that even with the old Gen 6 car, those races were a lot of fun there at Darlington, especially Darlington's just a special place for NASCAR. They embraced the throwback. Obviously, the Kyle Larson, Terry Labonte throwback won for most popular in the Cup Series. I think it was the most recognizable throwback. Even with the number moved forward, that paint job made it look like it was supposed to be there. So I think there's multiple reasons why that one won. But all in all, I mean, I think it was a good, successful weekend for NASCAR. I think it's something that they needed because there was a certain amount of controversy last week, right? Half the people still think Chris Buescher won that race. Half the people think Kyle Larson won that race. So it was good to get an extra race in without a whole lot of controversy, just to move on to the next race. Buescher has every right to be pissed. But Reddick did the right thing saying, hey, I screwed up. Buescher didn't want to hear it, but Chris Buescher's going to win a race or two before they get to the cutoff there, race 26.
Yeah, he is. And I mean, a lot of folks are, with the outcry about what Reddick did. And a lot of these folks are people that maybe don't watch NASCAR. Again, that crowd that we've always talked about on here, in the past. He did a slide job. He did a dirt track slide job that didn't work out. And folks want to beat him up. But at the same time, if it had worked, it would have been like the most amazing thing that we've seen all year. And it would have been one of those things to where, oh, man, it's great. The dirt feel in NASCAR. It didn't work out. So you get all of that where people are beating him up with that. And I mean, the other part of it is, with Buescher, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I totally get that and the emotion afterwards and so forth. But this is where we go back to, I think I mentioned this last weekend, Bobby, or last week, the pass that Buescher did. And I know we talk about out of bounds and all these different things. When Buescher made the pass, he was down there on the apron and all that. And for the folks that want to talk about old school stuff, you couldn't pass like that. And I know that's all different. And it sucks for Buescher. But, a lot of people enjoyed that and Brad with the win. But I'm concerned that with all the momentum that we've had from the last 2 weeks of this, and now we're going into Wilkes. And again, I think the cooler thing for me going into Wilkesboro about the All-Star race is that you got the pro late models on Thursday with the Cars Tour, and then the late model stock cars. To me, I'm more excited about that than all the other stuff. But I think folks are in for a letdown because this car just does not race well on tracks like that.
Well, we'll see. I think the tire, everybody talks about the gimmick of the 2 tires. I think the tires would go a long way to kind of helping that to a certain extent. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still going to be Wilkesboro. You know, Kyle Larson lit their ass up here and won $1 million fairly easily. So, I mean, I think that's something to look at. I think you're going to see one guy hit on something. The curveball will be the tires. But I think at the end of the day, the track record of this particular car on short tracks just is not produced.
Yep.
But I think when you listen to somebody like Justin Marks, a team owner there on Dave Moody's show, he is aware and he knows that, and we've talked about it before on the show, it's going to get to the point where you're going to start having specialized cars for specialized racetracks. You're going to have to. I think that you're going to have a couple of cars set aside for a short track package, a couple of cars for the intermediate packages, and then some for the super speedway tapered spacer, not restrictor plate races.
Yep.
So it's going to have to be that way because there's no other way for the series to make it work. You cannot take this exact same car and run it everywhere and not have it work all at the same place. They're going to have to change the aerodynamics somehow. And this is before everybody blew. Remember how everybody blew their mind last week talking about Elton Sawyer on the Dell Jr. download said, hey, to get other manufacturers involved, we got to run something other than a pushrod V8. People lost their minds, and then they made the announcement today, and people still lost their damn minds.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole different conversation that we can have. When it comes to that stuff right there. I mean, with the motors and all that. I mean, go raise your hood. That's all different. And I think the other part where folks have kind of not mentioned this, and I know that with that conversation that Elton Sawyer said at the end of that, he mentioned one thing where folks want to still frown on Toyota about everything that they have done. While I think that they have revolutionized in very many different ways NASCAR racing in a lot of ways, But like Elton Sawyer said, Toyota didn't have a V8 pushrod engine, and they developed one to fit in. And I think that's where, as we look at this several years later down the road, where folks kind of need to take some of the shit that they talked about Toyota back and say, you talk about an investment, that's an investment. And quite frankly, they've done really, really well. Really well. Really, really well.
Well, the sad part is everybody still considers it a foreign well, not everybody. A large percentage of people still consider it a foreign manufacturer. They haven't been to Frisco, Texas to see that gigantic ass North American headquarters for Toyota right there next door to Toyota Stadium for FC Dallas.
Yep.
And they've pumped just as much money, if not more money, into the Cup Series, into NASCAR.
Yep.
You see their activations at the racetrack. You see their activations on the television. You see all of that, and it makes for a great show. They have dove in feet first, all the way neck deep into the ecosystem of NASCAR, and they've been successful at it. Will Honda do the same thing if and when they join? Maybe, but you know what? If they're talking about supercharged motors, turbocharged motors, that opens up the door for maybe a Kia to come in the aspect, a Hyundai to come in there. It's not just Honda they're going after. I think that they're opening up the doors to anybody. The idea of Dodge coming back, probably not for a while. You're not going to see an electrified Challenger race in the Cup Series, just like, although we never thought we'd see a V8 Camry race in the Truck Series or in the Cup Series either. But, if there's not a model, that's the next question. We're talking about future manufacturers. We got manufacturers in the sport that don't have a car that's going to fit the Cup Series template.
That's right. And at some point, people are going to flip their shit if Toyota, decides to go a different direction and use the Lexus brand. I mean, what I'm really thinking, and this is way out in left field, but, talking about, with the Camaro going away and with everything that's happening there with Chevrolet, what if they bring in the Cadillac brand? What if it's not a Chevrolet, it's a Cadillac?
Well, that's possible. I mean, that's the rumors that we keep hearing is going to end up being a Cadillac, because realistically, we saw the news coming up this past week, over the last week and 7 days, is that they don't have a car.
No,
they just continue the Malibu, and you're not going to run a Corvette in the Cup Series. I don't think. I don't see how that body style is going to fit the next gen template. I can't see a Corvette running next door to a Camry. Ford would want you to think that a Mustang can go head to head with a Vet, but I think the difference is that Ford is on record saying that they're okay being the manufacturer that has a cost-effective V8 coupe versus, I'm more able to afford a Mustang, not so much a dark horse, but I'm more able to afford a Mustang V8 than I am ever going to be able to afford a Corvette, C8, C9, C8, whatever, one of those. So it's a challenging time for GM because not only that, they're having to take into consideration. We've talked about the supercars and the crossover appeal that's happened with SVG and all of that. That series is going to determine, or the Cup Series is going to determine what they race over there. That's what I think for sure.
I agree. And the thing is, like with the Corvette, I mean, you can't make a Corvette look like a Camry or a dark horse. I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's no way to sell that to where you do that. So they're definitely going to have to go out to another I shouldn't say OEM, another GM brand. I mean, they're going to have to do that, and that's where the trucks are easy because you got the Ford, you got the Chevrolet, and the I guess there's no Toyotas, but that's easy.
No, there's Toyotas. There's no Dodges.
There's no Dodges. So yeah, how they do that, I don't know, and it really is. Things are about to shift in a whole different aspect, and when we start talking about hybrids and all of that, I mean, and it's a different time. I mean, it really is a different time. They're not going electric. I know that. I don't think that you're going to have hybrid, but I mean, you never say never. I mean, because it's a different world. Bobby, before we go too far into the other topic that we need to touch on, we got to talk about our friends at Cotton Bowl Speedway. They've got a loaded June coming up. You can see on the 8th, you've got the Dwarf Car Racing Series of Texas with all the regular action that's going to be going on. And then you got the Texas Dirt Truck Series that are going to be making their way in. All of that happening at the 3/8 mile high-banked speed plant that we call Cotton Bowl Speedway for folks checking in for the first time. Bobby, that is you can check out our friends at raceon.com. Watch that racing at that track. That is some kind of fast stuff.
Yeah. WFO, wide flipping open right there. That's for sure. Cotton Bowl.
That's right. All right, Bobby, your thoughts on this. Here's the conversation today, and this is back to the NASCAR talk. And we got to talk about this before we get out of here. This in-season tournament, the NBA does it. Here is a product of things that are going to change. For everyone that wants to talk about Fox, their coverage sucks, and all this different stuff, Dale Earnhardt Jr. going to a different place. This right here is the future of NASCAR. Like it or not, you think it's stupid, you think whatever you think, this is the shit that you're going to be seeing moving forward.
Well, I think it serves a couple of purposes. I think number one, it gives you a reason to give a damn about the Amazon Prime races, gives you an opportunity to give a damn about the 5 TNT races. The numbers don't lie. Those summer races are not as highly watched and or highly attended as some of the races in the spring and the fall. This is also more than likely a very much spearheaded idea by TNT.
Yep.
Not only to get more eyeballs on it, but because of the fact that their TNT coverage with NBA dealt with the in-season tournament, I think that it becomes to me an idea definitely from the boys and gals and the bigwigs over at TNT Sports.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing that's about to change with the new coverage. When that comes in, that portion, and here's where it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock, I think, to people. Is once you get out of Fox and we go to this, you're not going to have Larry McReynolds sitting there, spouting off all of his stats. And I love what he does. But I think between Amazon and TNT, Dale Jr. is going to be, a part of that right there. But I think this is going to drastically change the way NASCAR is covered to where it's not guys sitting there talking about, wow, so-and-so has 35 top fives and, that's not what's going to happen. They are definitely going to go the way of the NBA coverage that TNT and Amazon. If you watch Apple TV, if you watch baseball on Apple TV, it is not like what you see on ESPN. and not what you see on MLB.
Mhm.
It's streamed, and that's the future. That's the future. It's going to be, people are going to get their feathers up in a ruffle and everything, because it's not going to be. I mean, it ain't going to be the old DW stuff. It ain't going to be. I mean, Harvick and Clint Boyer, I kind of like their continuity right there, but I don't think we're getting that with this new package. I think it's going to be something drastically different. I think one thing, it's going to be, I mean, no offense to those guys, it's going to be younger, it's going to be fresher, and it's going to be more cutting edge than what we're accustomed to. It's going to be outside the box. And that right there that we were just talking about, we'll pull it up again. That is outside the box. But my thought on this is, I don't care to watch millionaires race for $1 million. I want to see how they're going to shake that up to make it where it's more appealing for Joe Schmo to get entailed into that shit.
Well, if they have a chance for fans to win $1 million along there, they'd be a little bit more interested. But I also think that the part of it too is what makes it more of a unique scenario is that NASCAR just spent hundreds of millions of dollars building a production unit in Charlotte.
Yep.
There's a reason why all those Xfinity races for the next 10 years are going to be on CW. NASCAR is going to produce it. Will that change the way the coverage is done? Maybe. But you also got to figure Thursday Night Football is produced by the NFL. That's why it looks the same as some of the other games. But I'm like you. This is an opportunity for NASCAR to reinvent itself on a new platform. Yeah, TNT's been there before, but you're going to see a lot of synergies between Amazon and TNT for sure. They have to. They've only got 5 races apiece, but you're going to see a lot of innovation with those 10 races in the middle of the season starting in 2025.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's going to be radically different. And, you know, the whole thing is with the CW, the Country Western Network that I like to call it. It's like, you know, folks are like, wow, what is that? I mean, I've never heard of that. You know what? I can turn this thing on right here. This TV right here. I have I don't have a dish. I don't have anything. I can watch shit on apps, but I've got an antenna right there on that TV. When I turn it on, I can watch every Xfinity race on antenna. And I think
Oh, free.
for free 99. Leave out the 99. That's where everybody that's wanting to bitch about the CW thing, I've never heard of that. Well, you know what? Go through your free stuff. It's right there. It's right there.
But it's the same thing as NBC Sports Network. There's a reason. I've never heard of it. Well, no shit. That's why they're bringing a popular sports property to it, so you'll hear about it and know about it.
Yes, this is, you know, with this whole shift, and with that, you know, I had folks that were messaging me today. It's like, so is this like going to be drag racing? I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with drag racing. And for our friends in Texas, I had some folks that were posting in Texas about, well, that's a stupid idea. Well, you know what, Bobby, you know as well as I do, not that long ago in Texas, we were sitting here with a factory stock thing, trying to figure out who was the best and trying to accumulate points and do all this dumb crap. That's how you do it. And I didn't mean to pull that up when I said that, because they were a part of that, one of our partners. But it's like, that's how you do that. Base that on performance, head to head.
Yeah.
The only drawback really is that folks, it's going to have to be something where that's done to where it's appealing to the fan, because it's like, okay, millionaires racing for money. We get that in the All-Star race, and yeah, you know, whatever. But
go to the SiriusXM app and listen to the discussion on the morning drive about they conveniently had this discussion with the fans and wanted the fans' opinion and feedback, and it was mixed results, basically like what we've seen today. I haven't seen anybody really jump on board and embrace it. But you know, it's also kind of like now there's just, they have to do something to differentiate it, because now you're going to have an in-season. Hopefully they don't call it a champion. You've got an in-season champion, you've got a regular season champion, and you got an overall champion that supersedes and overshadows all that. Yeah. So they got to find a way to make it a little different. I would have preferred to see it like the Dash for Cash, like the Xfinity series does. But I mean, I'm not the one that makes, you know, they didn't ask my pay grade. So
yeah. Well, and the whole thing is, you know, with folks, with some of the backlash about what are they doing? I mean, why? Look, I mean, we've said it so many times, Bobby. NFL, NBA, MLB, MLS. I mean, the WNBA, for crying out loud, now is a major sports entity. And NASCAR needs to do stuff like this, that they're going into new audiences to capture that viewership and capture those fans that want to be a part of this sport. We have talked about it so many times in the past to where it's like, with short track racing and the different places that we go, we love that we have the fans that have been doing it for so long and keep coming back time after time. But what happens when that dries up? You have to find new ideas here. And I'm telling you, with this new TV package, it's going to be for everyone that's complaining about Fox.
The same one stepping up and complaining about this.
Be ready, because when this comes up, you're going to be like, well, I want it to be like Fox did it. Well, you didn't like Fox. So, all right. Same old story. Same old song and dance, Bobby. All right. I guess we're done.
I'm never watching again, but I'm going to bitch about what happens next week.
That's right. Yeah. I'll never tune in again. I'll never tune in again. It died when Earnhardt died. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, whatever. By the way, I don't think we've ever talked about this, and this is it. Yeah. Oh, there is one other thing. But the Eric Jones crash, I don't think I ever talked to you about this. The Eric Jones crash inside the car, kind of a lot like that Earnhardt thing, right? And unfortunately, we lost Dale that day. I think safety's gotten better.
Safety gotten a little bit better, yeah. Containment seats, Hans, all that good stuff. I mean, you hit the wall hard enough to get a compression fracture with the way that you're tied into them seats. That's you're literally trying to knock that summit down, and that's what happened. So
that's right. For our Texas folks, we didn't talk about it. I wanted to do it at the beginning, but Jamie Campbell, one of our great guy's been around for a long time. I mean, just one of the good. Hell, he's been on this show.
That's right.
Been on this show. Just talking racing. I mean, just very unfortunate accident right there with him and his daughter. And oh man, it's thoughts and prayers, man. Life can change that fast. That was horrible news, man. That breaks my heart to see that happen.
Yeah, and still shout out and kudos to those at Texana Raceway Park for all the money they raised on Saturday. Yeah. Good chunk of money, almost $2,500 with some of the matching contributions and stuff like that. I think Texana itself, without the matching contribution, raised what I tell you the other day, almost $1,300, something like that.
I think Bobby, when it was all said and done, I think it reached about 3,400. By the time you figured in all the other stuff, and of course at the race ranch, we'll be working on that as well this weekend. But God dang it, man, I hate that. I hate that for anyone, but I really hate that, for just
one of the good guys. Yeah,
really one of the good guys. At the same time, one of our Texas legends, we had Bobby Blake on tonight, but Greg Davidson, and it's ironic, Bobby, we didn't talk about this last week because it wasn't really the time to do it, but, Greg was going to be on with us last Monday to preview some stuff, but, stuff happened, and luckily that's taken a better turn, and Lord knows when you want to talk about fighters and grinders and just badasses, that's Greg Davidson, and he's done it again. He's done it again. He's turning the corner right there. So that's really, really good. But think about those folks if you have a chance this week.
Yeah, definitely. Two of the good guys. Greg's one of our favorite guests, one of our more popular guests, because everybody, you never know what he's going to say. And then B, the stories he still tells to this day. He doesn't care about statute of limitations. He doesn't care about any of that. He says, you want to hear a story, and you gather around the campfire and you listen.
Bobby, there is no better story, and it's a later story. When you and I ran into him at Pensacola, and he's out there, drinking his whiskey in a wheelchair with prosthetics and all these different things, and he's like, "Watch this!" Takes his legs off. What in the hell is going on here? But that's Greg Davidson. I mean, that's
right. That's Greg in a nutshell nowadays.
That's right. All right, guys. Lots of good stuff coming up this weekend. And like we always say, find a short track or a streamer to consume your short track fandom and do some really cool stuff. Closing thoughts, Bobby. We are way over time today, but that's all right.
Yeah, well, we're over, but we had a good reason to be over. Lots of good guests, lots of good interaction with the fans tonight, our listeners and watchers. So that's always cool to have them be part of the show, and that's what we look forward to. So another good solid week of hopefully it looks like Mother Nature is going to cooperate around most of the state this time, so our friends up in North Texas can get some racing in. South Texas looks fairly good, so I'm looking forward to a good show of racing, and then wrapping it up on Sunday night with the NASCAR All-Star race.
There we go. Back to Wilkesboro. It's going to be a great, like I said, a great week coming up with Wilkesboro. I mean, check out the Cars Tour. The pros and the late model stock, and then next week you've got the Southern Super Series that'll be on the track there as well. So really cool stuff. All right, you guys. Thank you for checking in. Once again, a big thanks to all of our folks that were a part of the program. Our live guests, of course, it was Dalton Faulkner, the winner over at Boot Hill. He wins the soap opera. But he won that thing. I mean, didn't matter. He was the best car. They could do whatever they want behind him. Bobby Blake will have to do that again. And Logan Dinsmore, who'll be on the track this weekend at the ranch in Corpus Christi with the STEM series. All right, Bobby, have a great week. All of you guys, feel free to check in, RevvedUpSportsShow.com. We'll podcast this thing. And, of course, you can find it on all the socials. Just check out Revved Up Sports Show. Y'all have a great week. We'll do it again next Monday. It's hashtag Real Race Talk. Unfiltered, we'd like to say, the original, award-winning. Bobby's got an award back there, too. Award-winning Revved Up Sports Show.
There it is.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all next Monday. Be well. Have a great week.